Right, we shall move on. We saw in the last presentation, and we've heard from various people already, that obviously the key part of this process is putting the athletes at the heart of it. So our next part of the symposium is going to be hearing from three athletes, three gymnasts who have very kindly given their time to come and speak to us today. So Catalina Ponor is here somewhere. She's from Romania, a former three-time Olympic champion, and now working as a member of an athlete's representative and a member of the FIG Commission. So come on up, Catalina. Round of applause. I think Artur is also here somewhere. Arthur Nuri Mariano. He should be here somewhere. I don't know if he has arrived, but Arthur, can someone see him? Here he is. Give him a round of applause. Arthur is... how are you doing? Arthur is actually competing this evening, is that correct?
Not this evening, Sunday.
Competing on Sunday, okay. We got you on a day off, that was good then. And finally, joining us online, Elsa Garcia should be with us, for tuning in from Mexico, I hope. Elsa?
Yeah, I'm here.
Round of applause for Elsa, even if she's not physically with us.
Hi, guys.
So Elsa joining us. Are you at home in Mexico, Elsa?
Yeah, I'm at home. I couldn't be there with you due to a medical emergency. I'm doing better, but I just want to be here with you guys, sharing and talking about the sport.
Fantastic. Well, guys, let's have a seat by all means. We can be a little bit more relaxed. So I guess... Arthur, I'm kind of curious to start with you because you're very much an active gymnast in the sense that you're taking part in these World Championships. Where do you stand? I mean, for you as a current gymnast, how does this whole debate about safeguarding, what does it mean for you? And just tell us a little bit about how it affects you.
It's working? No? Yeah. First, thank you for inviting me. It's the first time that I'm talking about the safeguarding and I'm a little bit nervous. My English is not so good, but Enrique is here to help me. And for me, it's very important to talk about it because I'm on this journey and you see a lot of results, but I made a lot of mistakes. We are athletes, we are part of the practical. Now we're learning the theoretically, and we are practical, and we live in a bubble, in the bubble of gymnastics, and how explain? and I know at that moment, then a moment in my life that I made a lot of mistakes, and the moment that we burst the bubble, and now we know and realize that each sport is included in a society that historically it has a lot of the prejudices. And then we have to learn to deconstruct this and rebuild every day. Rebuild and learning more, talking more, and I'm part of this. I'm part of this education and this learning and try to be a better person, not gymnast, but person for our life, and better human being. So that's difficult. That's very difficult, but we have to learn, not athletes, but coaches, managers, all of this structure, and try to bring this safeguarding for us, like a comfortable place and fighting together because we are a team. So we have a lot of difference, but we are the same goal. But most important is the safe for us, like saving for fighting against racism, fight against homophobia, fight against the harassment, abuse. So that's important. Everybody knows bring the consciousness what it is. So that's why I'm learning every day, and I'm here to talk about that person that learning. And
yeah, great. So it's, as you rightly point out, it's a learning process. I mean, Catalina, just to bring you in as well here, how does this, your career is behind you now, your sporting career. How, when you were taking part, did you have that notion of safeguarding, or do you feel it's very kind of like a modern thing that's only come around in the last few years in terms of the education?
Well, first, I will start with the fact that I'm honored to be the athlete representative and to try to talk in with their voice and to be here to represent everyone and every gymnast that is here. Wow, I'm nervous, to be honest. I wish to be on the beam than to be here.
You should have stayed at home like Elsa.
Yeah.
She's just at home having a coffee and the computer screen. Don't worry,
Well,
you're in a safe space. It's a
I
safe
know.
sport journey. And this is a safe stage.
I know. So for this, I'm just gonna tell you like a little story about myself because, you know, I can talk only about my experience because I had like 26 years in this sport. I have passed through so many things, and in the same time, I have learned many things. So when I started gymnastics and I put my first leg there in the gym, I knew that gymnastics will be for me. So nobody could stop me. I had the support of my mother, my grandma, but something was missing, kind of. And it was the support of my coach at the beginning, because I was very little and I didn't know how to take all the support. So of course, the coaches couldn't just be there just for me. We were a team, it's normal. So the coaches need to get every energy that have to every kid that is in that gym and needs to make sure that it's safe. Until 9 years old, when we always were going on the beach and start training there, running all the time and all that. And because I was very, I don't know, maybe different than others, I wanted just to go on the highest cliff I found it, and I fell from there. My mom, when she saw me, because I was just looking like a robot, my face wasn't, to be honest, start crying, and she said, "You are not gonna go to gymnastics anymore because you cannot even stay on your feet." So I started crying and all that, and my coach saw me, and she was going to my mother, and she said, "You are gonna do a mistake. If you stop her, you're gonna do a mistake." Why? Because she have the potential to be Olympic champion. And my mom was like, "Why you didn't tell me this before? Why I didn't even feel that you want her to be there and going up?" And the coach told me like this, "You know what? I just wanted to make sure that she's ambitious. I just want to taste her limits. I just want to make sure that she really wants to do this." And in that moment, I really felt the support of my coach. I felt how I am a little pushed about them, about him or her, because it was a her. And I can just say that I think all the coaches needs to be close to the gymnast, needs to be there for them, to understand their needs, to understand that the communication is so much important for us like an athlete. Because, you see, only one word made me to push myself more and to understand that I can have that chance to become an Olympic champion, how I was seeing on TV, of course, and I had so many examples. That's why I'm here. I'm here to talk for the gymnast, and for the coaches to understand that the communication and that closeness between them, it's so important.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and something that we're going to be, I think, visiting throughout this symposium, and things that we talked about also in Liverpool as well. Elsa, we'd love to get you involved in this discussion as well. How important is it for you, this notion of the relationship between the gymnast and the coach?
Well, first of all, I feel extremely honored to be sharing at times a competition arena with these great gymnasts, both of them, and now sharing the symposium arena. So I am honored. And talking about safe sport, adding to what both of them said, I think communication is key because most of us gymnasts start as kids in the sport, and we are surrounded by grown-ups, no? Our coaches, judges, the national federation delegates, even the media guys that sometimes come to our gyms, our parents. So sometimes it may be difficult for us as kids to raise our voice when we have concerns, when something hurts, when we don't feel like something is going the right way in the gym. So I think that is the coach's biggest responsibility, to make the training area a safe place so kids can be able to express themselves. Maybe something hurts, maybe they're scared of an element, and we are trained to obey our coach no matter what. So I think that dynamic needs to change. I think it has to be input from both sides, even though our coaches have the experience, to guide us, to train us, to come up with a training plan and make us champions and excel in our sport. But as I have been growing with my sport since I was a little kid, then a teenager, a young adult, and now to be called a veteran gymnast, I have learned that communication is the base of it. That's how I was able to be able to speak out with my coach. At first I was afraid, obviously, and maybe sometimes I would get punished because he didn't realize I wasn't talking back just to be a spoiled kid, or that I was lazy, that I didn't want to do one skill or another. It was for me for him to hear what I had to say about the training, and he then gradually understood that I was trying to communicate with him, and then we developed this very nice close communication, the one that Catalina is talking about, that you need to be super close with your coach. He needs to be like almost a psychologist, not just for you, for all the gymnasts in the gym. So it's really difficult for the coach to be able to personalize each of the gymnasts' training, but as a whole, having everyone go up on the beam and the bars and have a mutual training. So I think that's what makes it harder for the coaches. And I also understand that coaches are humans, they also have bad days, good days, just as the gymnasts. So that's when the communication comes into place. And I guess that's when sometimes the better option is to take a step back and maybe go back to basics, or you can rest for today, but then tomorrow you come back energized, so you don't have to almost train yourself to exhaustion or to even provoke an injury by training too much, or this kind of environment that is scary for a gymnast, or that you do some things just for obeying your coach, even sometimes it's not the right way to approach things. So yeah, to sum it up, I think communication in every relationship is key, and the coach can then take that voice of the athlete and the work they've done together and share it with the national federation staff and everyone, so everyone is on the same page. And that's how I think we can make our sport a safer sport. But I know it would take some time, and I'm just so happy that we're starting to talk about this subject. It's not a new subject. It's been going around for ages and in many sports, but taking baby steps by talking about it, I think it's the right way to start provoking change in a positive way.
Brilliant, thank you, Elsa. You look like you wanted to come in on something there, Arthur. Did you? I saw that you were nodding along to what Elsa was saying. Did you agree with what she was saying?
Yeah, of course. I think it's very important, the communication between coaches or your teammates and someone that you can trust and you can talk about it. And we feel so pressure about the medal, Olympics, and good results, but we forgot that our needs, like our healthy or safe, are safeguarding. So we have to trust in someone and talk about it, and that person understanding the moment, understand that we are not only athletes, we are a person that have lives, have some problems outside the life, outside the gym. So we have to bring that and understand all the team, all stuff, and understanding that. That's communication to improve our life. So I think it's very important the talking, very important the example and reference, the gymnasts that inspire me and listen them, and so that's it. And now I'm part of this, so I have to, I'm hope to be an example and be the person that listen the young guys and be there for them. Like, I know, understand you now, so like talk with coaches, like talk with doctors, like anyone for your good and safe.
Yeah, it's very good. I suppose also as fellow elite gymnasts, there's not too many people who understand necessarily the pressures of high-level competition. So to be able to speak to each other and between different generations. And now all three of you have talked about communication. I think it would be great if we could get some of the people in the room here, because there's lots of you watching here in Antwerp. It'd be great to have some questions. If there are people in the audience who have questions, we have John or Jon is somewhere at the back, I think, with a microphone. Are there any questions? I actually can't see anything, so if anyone can see any hands up, and there are any questions for our athletes. Otherwise, I will go on. Any questions from anyone in the room?
I think everyone understands what we want, what we are saying here.
Well, listen, if there are no questions, I mean, we'll carry on. I mean, how? Just, I'll come back to you again, Arthur. Have you seen? We've been talking about the fact that, you know, Tina mentioned in her presentation just a moment ago that after the Me Too that happened a few years ago, there's been a kind of a shift in the culture. Like, is that something that you have felt in the gym, like talking to your teammates and fellow athletes? Do you see a difference in the last 2 or 3 years in terms of safeguarding compared to when you first started as a gymnast?
I'm speaking Portuguese, but I think it's the most some pains, like pressure and pushing them, like you're young, you have to feel the pain. So no, you don't have to be the pain, to feel the pain, and talk more with the doctors and see how the gravidade,
the seriousness,
the seriousness is this, and understands the person. Like, maybe today he's not okay. It's okay. Tomorrow he'll be better. And I know every guy of my team, and I know when some lazy day or not lazy day and have to push them. But I think it's important communicating. Important that how they feel, I think, is the best thing to do.
I mean, another question I have, because I'm sitting here with both of you, and all three of you have won many medals at different championships, Olympic and world level. I suppose is there a difference if let's say you're one of the gymnasts who is not so successful? Do you see what I mean? Someone who is not necessarily making the headlines, who's not necessarily winning all the medals. Like, can there sometimes be an approach where, she's Catalina is our star athlete, so we're going to make sure she's okay. And maybe to some of the other gymnasts and athletes, is that ever something that you have seen, a kind of a not quite the same approach to different athletes?
It should not be. I don't know if this happens in the gyms, but it should not be. I have passed through 6 generations. And all the time, our coaches try to make them to understand that I'm at the same level like them, or make me to understand that I'm at the same level like them. So I had all the time to talk with them, and of course, I have some medals. I can be an example for them, but not to be higher than them. We need to be a team. We need to be close to each other. We need to be like a family. And actually, our coaches, in my opinion, they are like our parents, that we need them there. So they need to make us to learn and to understand that everyone is in the same level.
Yeah, very good. Elsa, do you have any thoughts on this idea of kind of different approaches for different people?
Yeah, of course. I actually I train in my hometown gym all my life. So I'm the oldest one there, but I also train with kids that are like 7 years, 13, 17, 22. So I get all the range of gymnasts, from the ones that are just beginning, the ones that are okay, getting a bit more serious into it, and the ones that already have their eyes set on, making a national team or qualifying to an international competition. And as Catalina said, there shouldn't be a difference in the way the coach treats a younger gymnast or a more experienced one. The way to make the gym a safe space, it's for everyone to feel comfortable. It doesn't matter the kind of goal that you have. Even if you just want to go and do gymnastics for fun, or if you want to go do gymnastics and compete and win medals, you should feel safe, you should feel happy, you should be able to talk with your friends. Maybe sometimes you're a bit shy to talk about things with your coach or with someone else, but maybe you can talk it with your parents, and your parents can help you get that subject through, or with a teammate, or with a doctor, or with someone. I mean, that's what we're all saying here, that communication is key. And you should be there having fun, learning how to do gymnastics, learning about yourself, learning about your limits, about your body, about your, when can you push more? When is it okay to take a step back? Because gymnastics is a tough sport, even though if you're doing it in a recreational way. And injuries are always present. So I guess that's the main reason why coaches are so strict. They want us to pay attention in what we're doing, because we can just be running around and still, bend our knee, or our toes can go somewhere we don't want them. So, but even further than that, to push someone in crossing the line that it's already called abuse, it's never okay. Even if you're a younger or experienced gymnast, that's the bottom line. And I think we're all being to start aware of the fact that we need to speak up and not be able to tolerate this kind of behavior from anyone, because maybe we're talking about a coach, but maybe it's a teammate that's bullying you. Maybe it's, I don't know, like it can happen in anyone involved in the gymnastics community. So that's why we have to be alert. Like Catalina said, we have to be a family. We have to be together. If we see something that doesn't feel right, someone needs to speak out about it. If we do nothing and just watch it pass by, we're also involved in the kind of abuse, So we need to start speaking up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point that Elsa makes about that, and we heard it a little bit earlier as well, about not just being a bystander. I mean, is that something that you guys, when you were, or well, Arthur, you still are, if you have a problem, or if you feel that there is a problem, do you feel that there is somebody that you can talk to about it? Do you feel you have that kind of relationship of trust with your coach or the federation?
Yeah, today, yes, we have a psychologist, and some team members older than me, or I have someone to talk about it and explain and what's happened with the team or with me, and doctors, so that's very good.
Yeah, so there is that framework. Catalina, when you were competing, did that framework exist back in the early 2000s?
No.
No. Okay,
Unfortunately, no, but we had the coaches, exactly how I said. We had the coaches that they were very open to listen to us. And we were always, when we had a problem, we just going there and talking with them and let them understand what we feel, how we feel, what we want to do, if we can do what we want to do. Because, sometimes you as a gymnast, maybe you don't have the experience to say what to do. So the coaches needs to understand you and somehow to update your training by your needs. And the gymnast needs to understand that without a coach you cannot do anything. So,
yeah, that's a key point. And I think it's the point that you both make is interesting because it shows that, especially perhaps back in the day when there were fewer sports psychologists and doctors as there are now, perhaps it was harder to know exactly. It can be difficult when you don't know exactly what's right for you, or perhaps the coach believes they know better than you what is right. So it's interesting to see either way that things have changed, and now if a gymnast has a problem, they kind of have more avenues, I suppose. Did we have any questions? Or I can see that a hand has finally gone up.
Yeah, it works. I'm from Swiss Gymnastics, and we also have a bit of the same stories as many federations in here. What I was wondering in the whole discussion, now we were talking about coaches and the whole framework and support from medical. Before, we also heard that we have to involve parents. And in this whole system of pressure and expectations, we also have this stakeholder group, I would call it. Do you as athletes, when you are in the gym and maybe also see parents from other athletes, how they behave or what their expectations are, do you have how do you experience that? Or what are your suggestions on how to address maybe parent expectations and ideas of parents regarding careers of their kids?
Okay, so parental pressure, essentially. Yeah, so how, is this something that you guys have had to deal with?
No, we didn't, because we had a very strong role between the coaches and the parents. Parents are parents. Parents are home. Parents can support the child from home and give them the best, advices that they can. But in the gym, there are the coaches with the gymnasts. And in my opinion, I think there should not be parents going over the coaches and tell them what to do and how to do. So I think that this is just separate two things that both of them, of course, need to work for that athlete and communicate all three of them.
I agree.
I agree.
That's good.
Yeah, Elsa, do you agree with that as well?
I also agree, but actually in Mexico, there's this phenomenon that when a parent goes and put their kid in any kind of sport, they're like, oh, I want them to just, have fun, learn to play basketball or soccer or whatever. But when the parents take their kid to the gymnastics center, they're like, I want her to be an Olympic champion. There's no in between, There's like, I want her to have fun. I want her to have, to learn to compete and manage pressure. No, it's just Olympic champion or nothing at all. And I think that by seeing the reaction of them, it's a worldwide phenomenon, right? So in Mexico, parents are much more involved in the sport than in other countries. And we always have this kind of very intense parents that want their kid to succeed no matter what. And they're actually part trainers from the outside, and they give, directions to their kids like, oh, punch your toes and do the handstand more or something. But we need to, like they both said, parents should know their place, even if it's a bit harsh to put it that way, because in the gym, the coach knows what's best for the kid. Parents know what's best for the kid at home, what to feed them, everything regarding their kid. But it needs to be separate, and parents need to know that, and also coaches need to know that their experience or power ends at the gym, because there are also some coaches that want to go to another length, to go back with the parents and start taking over that side. So everyone needs to know their place and what they can sum up to the athlete, and hope for the best, that everyone's doing their work the right way.
Yeah, so it's about having those clearly defined roles between parents, coaches.
Otherwise, the parents can take the gymnast and make it, I don't know, Olympic champion. I don't know.
I mean, I know there are sometimes situations where someone's coach is their
Exactly how
parents.
Elsa was saying, sometimes the parents are just coming and, oh, I want her to be Olympic champion. No, it's not like this. It's not like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe one more question before we have a quick coffee break. Tina at the... No? Oh, look, there's lots of hands going. Where were you all before when I asked first time? If someone can bring a microphone over here to ask a question.
Yes, thank you. I'm Monique from the Royal Dutch Federation. I'm the president there. What's your most urgent message to me or to us as board members to change more than take our moral leadership?
So what would be your message for management, for board leaders, for people who are in charge of national federations?
I think it's participating of talking like this and reading more about cultures and education yourself about many things about diversity, and a lot of things you have to learn every day and see the reference that not talk about sport but outside sports. I think it's very good, and that is the start. This is beginning, and athletes talking and everybody learning. I think it's important.
Yeah, I'm okay with what he answered. So probably this symposium can be a start for them, and they can just try to make something like this home, and to practice with the coaches all what they learn in the safeguarding.
In this symposium.
Yes.
Brilliant, thank you. Maybe we can, I think, Tina, you wanted to ask a question. I saw, although there's a question over here. Maybe just have one last question. And then I suppose the guys, will you be hanging around for a coffee afterwards?
Sure.
Perhaps there'll be time to ask a couple of questions over coffee. Go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you so much for being here, the three of you, making time for a boring symposium while you have so many better things to do. So thank you. For us, it's very useful to listen, and I am also grateful to and relieved to hear that actually you show that it is possible to be the biggest champion in your sport and still be very happy with your healthy coach-athlete relationship, with the role of your parents. That it's magnificent. You do know that some of your peers do not have such positive experiences. I think those stories are not new to you. You have been confronted with them as well, as we are in the past years. And I wonder, you know many of those coaches probably that have been accused and or convicted for some sort of harassment and abuse. I'm really interested to hear what you think should happen with those individuals right now. We talk about reporting first and punishment. Many federations are still at that stage, but what about rehabilitation? We don't send them to prison for life. Most of the people who commit verbal and physical, I mean, if we're not talking about the highest level of severity of cases, of course, what do you as athletes think is the best if they come back into sport? Do they still have a place in gymnastics? And how can we make sure that everybody in the gym is comfortable with people coming back into the sport?
Well, I can say from my experience, because I have been retiring from sport and come back 2 times. And always our coaches, because, sometimes, it's not sometimes, but coaches need to have that psychologist, all things to know, and first to know the athlete, how she or he is, and to work with it. I was that kind of gymnast, and I'm talking only about my experience, not about somebody else. I was that kind of gymnast who was just coming to me and tell me, you cannot do that. I will show you that I can do that. But, of course, should not be differences. Should be just, I mean, you can just let that athlete to go there and try and to make him to understand that he can do it again and again, and he can just go over those limits that he has. And this is what I actually did. I put a limit. And after that, I was like, okay, I can get over this limit. And I want to prove to myself. I don't want to prove to anyone else. So, yeah, the gyms needs to be open for everyone. Doesn't matter who it is and who is come back in the gym.
Elsa, maybe you have a response to that question as well?
Yes, I've actually thought a lot about what should happen to these coaches. No, like you said, there are punishments that are being talked about, but maybe not everyone needs to be banned from the sport. Maybe just like re-educated in ways to treat people. And us gymnasts, we go through a lot of tests, if you might call it that way, to get to the FIG level, right? But coaches, they're just coaches, and they can coach or a little kid or an FIG international athlete. So I think there should be tests that the coaches need to take in order for us to try to make sure that they understand the new parameters of coaching and the new ways of not being abusive, physical, mentally, and of course sexually. Not any one of these kind of abuses is allowed. So there should be a kind of test, and if you don't approve it, then you're not allowed to coach. And if you've had some cases of abuses before, but you are able to rehabilitate in your coaching methods and renew, I think you could be a coach again, because the experience and the knowledge of gymnastics, they have it. They just need to adjust it. But I think definitely there are some people that should be banned forever from the sport. But that's not for me to decide. That's why there should be specialists, maybe psychologists behind these tests to evaluate these people and determine if they're safe for them to come back to the sport or not.
Exactly, and actually, well, as we heard earlier, FIG coaches now actually have to have that safeguarding, pass a kind of test or have a qualification to judge. So perhaps that is something that could be adapted to national federations. Right, I think it's probably time to wrap up for a coffee now, but thank you. A big round of applause, please, for our athletes, for our gymnasts, Arthur, Elsa and Catalina. And just as we said to Tina as well, just your kind of, just in a sentence, your kind of takeaway message from this symposium. Arthur, what would it be?
Just thank you for inviting me. I hope I can say good things and deliver that message to have to be more communicating and comfortable and trusting our team and trusting in athletes, reference, and that it's bringing that prevention is the best way to be in a good way.
To move forward. And your English is much better than my Portuguese. Thank you. Catalina, maybe just a final word, a sort of take-home message.
I wish that the athletes can talk. I wish that they can come to us, because this is why I am here, and not only here, I am all the time next to them. I want to hear things from them, to know what is happening, to know how we can do and change things. So we are open for everyone. We are open for the coaches too, for the athletes too. So we need to, how I said, to be a family.
To be a family. And finally, Elsa, to finish us off, your takeaway message.
Yes, I mean the same. I am honored to be part of this symposium, to start talking about this subject and to keep spreading the word. You know, like today we have many tools like social media, and I am here in Mexico, you're in Belgium. We can keep in touch and spread the message so everyone can understand that it's okay to feel safe, heard, seen, and taken care of. So just trying to make the sport a safer place. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, guys.